Good afternoon or good morning. It's about to be afternoon, so both. I wanted to come on today and talk to you about the day in the life of an MSer or one who has multiple sclerosis. And today I want to specifically talk about coordination. A lot of times people probably recognize that something's going on because of their balance being off or their coordination being differently. So, coordination, I didn't even look up the word, but I think we know coordination is the ability to do things in a specific order or do things in a specific order, to do things. I can't find the word. I'm going to look it up. Anyway, anyway, I wanted to talk about coordination being off. And I know that coordination is off for me because of the things that I try to do. Things that people do normally without struggling and without having to think about it. So coordination is by definition, look at that, the organization of different elements of a complex body or activity so as to enable them to work together efficiently. That is the definition of coordination. So, one is able to do things without even thinking that, okay, I have to coordinate it. One might be writing. When you learn to write in school as a kid, later on, we're not thinking about it. As a child, we're thinking about the way you write an A or the way you write the B. And that might go through kindergarten into first grade. You're not thinking that you would ever have to think about it later in life. Once you learn it, it's something that sticks with you. Coordination is off at times with writing, and you can tell by the person's the way they write, by the way they write. For example, I look at my writing sometimes and know that my coordination is off because it reminds me of how my grandmother used to write, because it's really shaky. It's really hard for me to put the words together as I write cursive, and I want it to look beautiful. Usually my handwriting is beautiful and does not come out the right way because I'm unable to coordinate it without thinking about how the pen meets the paper and how the letters are supposed to be formed. That happens every so often for someone who has multiple sclerosis. Their coordination is off. Another way that coordination is off is when we're driving. A lot of people, I've heard that a lot of people with multiple sclerosis have stopped driving. And you may wonder why. It's not always because our legs are weak or because our foot is too heavy. For me, at least, and probably for a lot of others, it was about the coordination. It was about having to I'm driving the car, I have to look in the mirror, I might have to adjust, I might have to look, especially now, put something in the GPS, which lots of other people are able to do. When I'm driving, this phone is in my purse or on the floor. There are many people who believe that they can text or take a phone call or do whatever on their phone while they're driving. It's too much to do that. And a lot of people might agree with that, regardless of whether you have multiple sclerosis. But it adds to us even having to look out the rear view mirror and make sure that we're driving correctly, not going over the line, having to to adjust the mirror on the side, having to do all the things that you do when you drive. For someone without multiple sclerosis, you learn to drive a car and you can drive a car. It's like riding a bike. You just get in there and you go. Start the car and go. For people with multiple sclerosis at times, the coordination alone is just too much. And there isn't really anything, any suggestions that I can give to you about that. I know that I stopped driving for 6 years. I stopped driving for 6 years because I could not coordinate it. And it was frustrating. So now I have a car. And for those who are thinking, you know what, maybe I can drive, it's much easier now. I will admit that because I have a car that will stay in the lane, that will stop if I get too close to a car in front of me. And my car actually adjusts if I if I am on cruise control and someone gets in front of me and they're driving too slow, it will adjust to their speed. So cars are different now with all the safety options they have. Make sure that you get a car with all the safety options. I happen to have a Honda Civic. So you want to make sure that all the safety options are there and that you do the things you need to do before you take off to drive. It has an Apple cord, so I make sure that I hook up my phone, put it in the passenger seat, and I'm able to talk to the car because I can say, "Hey Siri," watch, she's going to cut on right now. She did. And I could tell her what to do. I could tell her to call mom. I could tell her to find directions for something specific. And that helps. That helps a great deal. Um, Other
You're
coordination.
at 1231 Charity Church Road,
See,
Huger, South Carolina.
Huger is not Huger, it's Hugie. So the last thing I want are some other ways that coordination might bother people with multiple sclerosis is typing or even walking with a cane. It took me so long to figure out how I was supposed to walk with a cane. You might want to take up occupational therapy, go to an occupational therapist, go to a physical therapist. They can help you with those things. Um, Speech therapy is good as well, so I don't want to leave that out. Finding those brands that can help you do things easier, make things easier for you. I've always been an Android person. I ended up getting an Apple phone and it helps a lot to be able to talk to her to talk to her so she doesn't cut on and ask for things or say certain things. Um, Look for those brands that help you with coordination or anything else dealing with the multiple sclerosis symptoms. And I promise you, it will make life so much easier. So that is day 8 of our 12 days of Christmas, a day in the life of an MSer. And I will talk to you all tomorrow.